Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Dan. We met on Curvage, and he came to visit me in Florida. So he's going to talk a little bit about what he does, and he actually sells stories, which is impressive because it's like you sell a lot. So go ahead. Take
it's like pretty humble and stuff. Like I got on like about 5 years ago. I don't think like anyone actually knows how to pronounce like my profile name because like it's like the little emojis and stuff. There's like squinty eyes and there's a big eyes. And I just put it like that because I didn't know what to name myself, and like everyone had like all these like interesting like profile names, and I was like, I'll just like do emojis because that's pretty cool. And then like I wrote like a chapter of like my first ever thing, which was fattening the personal trainer, and it blew up like instantly. And I was like, wow, everyone's telling me I'm really good. I should just keep writing this, and like I just kept doing it ever since. And it's really fun because like once you like start talking to other people, like there's so many people that have been like writing like all these stories, and there's stories that are like inspired by like the actual kink of like fetishism and weight gain and stuff, and you don't really see that in mainstream, so you get different types of plots that you wouldn't see anywhere else. Granted, a lot of them don't actually get finished, but I try to finish all of the ones that I've ever done. So that's what I've been up to.
That's good. Is it? Do you feel like people do the writing with their dick thing? Remember you were saying that?
Yes.
And that's why they don't finish because
yes,
they're
do.
like, okay, I already got like what I wanted out of it, so then I'm like done. Kind of like they can't. It's hard though after you get to the point that you consider the peak. It's hard to like go back because I know you said like you're like the story doesn't end, and I'm like I don't know. This is where I ended it because I don't. I'm spent. Like I have nothing else to like bring to it because that's like the peak. So then I feel like it's weird to like write after the peak, and I have done that after that, but like I feel like it's weird.
Yeah, I've read your stuff. It's pretty good. And the thing about like writing with your dick is like the best way to describe it is that you get really excited. You're like, oh, I got to the good part, and like she's like 350 pounds now, and then like, well, how was I going to finish this? And then like you sort of get bored, and you're like, I don't know how to finish this. I'll just write another one. I'm bored with that one. She's 600 pounds. I'm going to write the next one. And sometimes you can get away with like just having multiple characters that are like just gaining weight all the time, and like one's really big but it's not as exciting anymore, so like there's another character that starts gaining weight and then another one. And I read those are like some of my favorite things to do. But it's kind of tricky to figure out exactly how to end it. And the thing that's like helped me like to finish stories is a couple things. One is that I actually want to finish them. And so, like, I'll think of a completely new story, and I'll be like, wow, you know it'd be a great idea for a story? This thing. And I'm like, no, you can't write that until you finish the other one, because everyone says it's amazing, and you'll never forgive yourself if you don't finish it, and then you're going to look at it all the time and feel bad. So, like, I will finish all of the stories that I've started.
Well, I think your background, like, I don't know if you want me to mention, like, specifically, but, like, you're more disciplined than most people, probably because of that, you know, like, because you were taught to...
Well, like, yeah, like, it's an open secret. Like, I have alluded that, like, I'm a veteran from the Marine Corps and stuff, so, like, a lot of people, like, sort of know who I am, like, to a degree, so it's not really secret. The only thing that could really get me is, like, say, if I was applying to the FBI again, which, like, it's bullshit. They came to me. They're like, you are highly qualified to be a special agent. You should be like a special agent for the FBI. And I'm like, okay, well, like, I'll try it. And then I got through like 3 months worth of like the onboarding process. And then they're like, no, actually, like, it was a complete lie. We needed, well, like, they don't actually say this, but like reading between the lines, they basically hired people already in the FBI to be special agents.
They just do it to make it look like they're not doing that. Yeah,
that's
so
and like
stupid.
every company does this, every agency does this. Now I'm just like a security guard, which is a really awesome job if you don't actually want to work. Like being a security guard, like I literally like am like just sitting in like these empty offices and like just like checking every couple hours, getting up and seeing that all of the locked doors are still locked and like the security like systems are not actually breaking. And like the rest of the time, I'm just like typing away and like writing stuff. And
no, you write
games.
like your own stuff.
And video games. I also do that too.
I know he would be good at that because one of my clients was saying that to him, like, why don't you do security? And he's like weird about that.
It's hit or miss. I can get away with not working because I have a secret clearance from being a Marine from back in the day, and that means that you can get these really cushiony jobs where like you're guarding the empty offices all night, and if you don't have that, it's a little trickier because they might want to just like put you in a place like the DMV and guard that, or the mall. There's like people guarding the mall as mall cops, and that you can't get away with doing nothing if you're doing that. You're actually walking around, and there's actual people there to watch. So, yeah, I actually saw people from my company at the aquarium today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's all over the place. I thought that they were like some like small like Washington D.C. company, but no, I'm trying to like apply to other stuff, like to be a firefighter. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, I'm just like waiting to get
pay,
back.
Though, for what you have to do. I feel like they don't. I just like the most important jobs. I feel like are never really compensated as well as they should be, like teachers and stuff.
Well, like if you live in America, like good luck getting rich. Like you can't really like go into a career field to get rich. You have to do it because you want to do it. Because like I know that we have a history of like being a very rich country, but realistically, right now it's getting a little harder. They were talking about like
but like when you first maybe realized that you were into bigger girls, or like talk about that, like your kind of origin story, because people love to hear about that. Because people are always like so fascinated, like it's really what you like. Like people don't like understand it because because of the media and everybody. I don't know. Fat is so bad.
We have like
so.
A couple centuries worth of history where like everyone's like, oh, like skinny girls are it, and like chubby girls are like not as cool and sexy. But I always thought differently, like all the way back to like where like I could actually realize that like girls were like really hot and sexy. I think I was probably like just hitting puberty, and I was like, wow, like you know it'd be really cool, like if all the sexy parts got bigger. That'd be like the most epic thing ever. And I think the thing that I got the idea from was probably when I was like really young. The Nutty Professor had come out. I was like, I don't remember how old I was. I could barely remember it, but it was so traumatizing. I had like nightmares and stuff, and I was like literally trying to like not fall asleep because like there's that nightmare scene where like the Nutty Professor just like blows up to like Godzilla size, and then he eats like one bite and then explodes because he just can't handle it anymore, and like my family thought it was hilarious. They thought it was funny. But I ran out of the room and like I couldn't watch it. I closed my eyes in the theater. Like we watched it at home later, and like I ran up to my room and hid. And then like for a couple of years that was just a terrifying concept to me. And then like what made it worse was other things. Like there was like my dad would watch that 70s show. I wasn't allowed to watch it, but sometimes I would stumble in there like while he's watching it by himself. And then there was one episode in particular where there's like one character having a dream that like she turned into a blueberry because she had blueberry pie. And that terrified me so much that I ate nothing for the rest of the day. Nothing. And I forget how long ago this was, but when I hit puberty, I was like, actually, it would be really hot if girls blew up and became gigantic. That would be cool. And like that's when they weren't nightmares anymore. That's when like I started trying to actually fall asleep on purpose. I'd wake up at exactly the wrong time, like, no, I need to go back to sleep and finish. And it never does. But I tried anyway. And that lasted for years. For years, like, I lived like way out in the boonies, like in the middle of nowhere. And there was no way to like go online and find out that like you're not the only one. There's other people just like you. And they have like their own websites. I didn't know that. So like the first hint of that was when I got into high school and they had these computer labs. Sometimes I had to stay like late and wait for mom to pick me up so we could go somewhere. And I just like hang out in there, and I was like, I wonder like what would happen if I typed in breast expansion into YouTube. And this was when YouTube was like had the weird part of YouTube, and like I found out like, wow, there's like actual stuff here to see. And like my heart was like just pounding so fast and so hard from that, like because like I'm in the computer lab, there's like a proctor watching behind me, like doing her thing, and I had like everything set up. I had like my mouse over like the X. I had like the video scrolled down so that they couldn't see the title of the thing. I centered it. I made the screen smaller so that it's only in front of my face and like I could just like lean over it. And only only 2 people caught me. So one was the librarian, right?
Oh shit.
The librarian caught me one day because I was in the library and I was like getting cocky and I thought that I could hide. And I was looking up, I Googled body inflation because I wanted to see what that was. Because I'm like 15 or something. I'm trying to like look up this stuff. And like it was showing like a bunch of like bodysuits that people could buy because like Google was
that's the thing.
prompting that.
I've heard of that before.
And like I was looking at that and I was like, oh, it's not like exactly what I was looking for, but like it's the best that I can figure out. And then I heard this voice, this old middle-aged Miss Frizzle lady. She's like, huh, is that for school? And I was like, no. She made me X out of that. I wasn't allowed to do that. So
like, yeah, I'm doing a report on alternative sexualities. That's why.
Oh really?
No, I'm kidding. Like you could say that, but like, no one's gonna
That's
like
not gonna fly
accept that
in
report.
high school.
I know. I'm just kidding.
In college, yeah, like there's like someone on Curvage recently that was like fishing around for like a very specific like research paper. She was like, oh, I want to like figure out like what type of person writes like the kink stuff on Fantasy Feeder. But she went on Curvage because Fantasy Feeder isn't really geared towards like posting and stuff like Curvage is, so it was easier to ask on there. But the fact that she did well enough to be able to do that, I was like thinking about it and like this whoever this is knows both the websites. She said it was a she, which is another red flag because like okay, so like this could be like some weird kind of setup. I mean, if it is a girl, then like it's a very elaborate plot to talk to someone about like all of the kinkiest things in the world. But I texted back politely and I was like, well, the reason that like writing on Fantasy Feeder is a little different is because of the way they're formatted. And I dabbled around with it a little bit, so I technically qualify if you're still doing this research paper. But now it's July, so whatever research paper she was doing, if she was doing it, it's probably like a good 40 pages long and it's like posted and published somewhere, but maybe we'll find it someday. I don't know.
She's not going to share it?
I mean, like,
they should share it. Like it's like you're getting all of this information from like I didn't talk to her. You should share it then with us because we want to see how you portrayed it.
She posted on like the serious discussion thread, like all of those threads, and like she hasn't replied back or posted anything in like 3 months. So either she like gave up, or she forgot her password, or she actually got a few DMs from people and like she got what she needed. So that's an interesting thing. You see this on Curvage all the time. One time, I remember years ago, like maybe 3 years ago, there was like some random dude that insisted that he was like a paparazzi like guy in Hollywood, and that he knew all of the deepest, darkest secrets, all the secret like feederist kinks that are in Hollywood. And like we all asked him, like, okay, so what about Eddie Murphy? What about Kate such and such, and like Baby Rexa, and he'd be like, oh yeah, like this guy has like the feeders and kink, and he has like his wife is like 200 plus pounds, and like nobody knows. And then he disappeared, and like we all laughed about it because like it was total bullshit.
I don't believe that at all. I think it's like probably anorexia fetish if anything, and with entertainment industry because it's like some of the standards are so ridiculous. It's not so bad anymore.
It is pretty bad. It used to be worse.
Yeah, it used to be a lot worse.
It used to be a lot worse
in the 90s and stuff. But I saw there was a thread on BB Rexa, and I'm like, I was looking at it because sometimes I'm like, I get bored and I just want to get mad about stuff, which is not good. So I'm like, let someone say something. Because I really like BB Rexa a lot. I've watched like interviews with her, like understand like kind of like I wanted to get like after I heard the Me Myself and I one with G-Eazy, I was like, oh, it's really interesting. I didn't expect her to look like that. And then I was like, let me see other songs she has, and she has some really really good songs. One's like I Can't Stop Drinking About You, and I'm like I can relate to that. Like she's got a lot of stuff like the I'm Jealous one. My friend Jay from
matter of fact.
I told him about that one. But I'm like, if they talk shit about her, I will flip the fuck out. But no one said anything nasty about her so
well,
far.
That's because she's
like,
really hot. And like you can tell she's really hot because like there's like 25, maybe 48 pages devoted just to her in her thread. And I'll go in there and I'll be like, wow, this is like really cool. Because honestly, like I've learned about certain celebrities because I was like daydreaming about how hot they'd be if they were like even fatter, because like that's what you do. And like Baby Rexa was one of them, and I was like, wow, she's pretty hot. And then like she has this like little habit where she tends to like overeat a little bit, and then she'll diet a little bit, but then like she rebounds and then she does it again, and she's really hot, and she knows that, and she like makes a big show of it, and like she twerks on stage and stuff, and like that's why she's so popular on Curvage. But she isn't like deliberately trying to like gain weight on purpose. It's just an accident. I probably know some of her songs, but like I have to actually be shown them, and like I'll listen to them later and I'll be like, oh yeah, I know this song. It's on the radio.
The ones on the radio though are not her good ones. The ones that are not on the radio are better. It's really weird. I'm like, why doesn't she put out any good songs? The ones that like
it's because of the FCC regulations. All of the good songs now are explicit. And like radios are not geared towards like making things to be like really good. Like, you ever notice like a song that goes viral is usually the most boring song of that particular band? Yeah, it's always the most boring one because it relates to more people. But the thing that makes that band special and unique is always like songs that like are a little bit more indie and like distinct.
Yeah.
So like everyone has like their favorite band, and like they know all these songs that no one else knows, but everyone else knows like maybe one song or 3 songs by them. It's like that. But yeah, Baby Rexa, I know like a few of her songs. There's I accidentally learned about Mia Khalifa from Curvage as well. I actually have never seen any porn by her at all. Other people have, obviously, but the thing is,
familiar, no.
she was so Mia Khalifa was like apparently the most famous porn star on Pornhub back in the day. And she doesn't do porn anymore. She does like more of like foodie stuff, and like she was married to a chef for a little bit from Sweden. That was cool. She tours all over the place. She does like little photo ops and stuff. I actually follow her on Instagram now because she's just so funny and like fun to talk to. Like, I'm not talking to her, but other people do. You know what I mean? So the way that I found out that she was actually a porn star was not from any of that. I was actually with my friend Gianni. And we were like eating out somewhere, and he looked at my phone because I was on Instagram, and like Mia Khalifa's pictures came up, and he looks at me and he's like, "Really?" And I was like, "What do you mean? I thought she was like a food connoisseur or something." He's like, "No."
So you had no idea?
I had no idea.
That's so funny.
And she's like super hot too. Sometimes I'm like, she'll say something questionable, but everyone does that. Everyone is like that. And the world would be like so much more boring if no one said anything controversial. Like, imagine like if would Twitter be the same if everyone just thought the same way and we didn't have anything to argue about? That's what makes it fun to go on Twitter.
People think they want that, but they don't. People think they want everyone to agree with them, but they don't. Like, I feel like it's like, if you really think about it, like if everybody thought the same, it would be super boring. But I feel like people like anymore, it's like if someone thinks different than them and they have to like hate them, and it's like, I don't really give a shit. I mean, as long as you're nice to me, you can believe whatever you want, because everybody has a different life experience. So everyone's gonna have a different viewpoint because they've had a different life. Like, it's just how reality is.
True. And like, that's why I don't mind like people arguing, but there is like a little art to it. I don't actually like try to argue on Curvage. There's like a couple people that do, I guess. Like, there's a thread. This thread is like 115 pages last I checked. It's for Pokimane.
Are you that upset about it? Like, he's offended.
He's like a little chihuahua. I was surprised he was this quiet this long. But Pokimane, oh my god. So the thing is, she hasn't even gained that much.
Has she even gained any weight at all? Because I feel like
it's hard. Like for the first,
and I'm like, she's wearing a different outfit. Like, cause like you did you see Bimbo Pig that I made my Bimbo Pig video?
The what video?
Bimbo Pig is like, that's like my like favorite video I ever
Yes,
made.
I saw that.
I didn't gain any weight through that video, but I look like a significant difference because of what I'm wearing. Yeah, so it's like she might be wearing something, not realizing that it's like unflattering or like makes her look heavier, and then people are like, "Oh, she gained weight." I'm like, "Oh, guys could be so stupid." It's like, depending on what you wear, you look different.
We're doing that on purpose. Part of like what's really fun is like wondering if they'll gain weight and like maybe and like obsessing over it. That's really fun to do, honestly, because like. If you look at all of the fat celeb stuff, a lot of it is not even people that are like fat per se, but like people that like we all agree would like be really hot if they did get fat. And like maybe they are getting fat because like if you look at this picture and they turn like at an angle right here, then like you can see like a tummy bulge or something, and like that's fun to do. But not everyone thinks that way, because like for example, back to Pokimane, the first like 97 pages of it are like people like showing like all of these pictures from her stream, and then there'll be some people that come out and be like, she didn't even gain weight, she looks the same. And then I was like, no, you don't understand, she's just so hot, and like she definitely did gain 10 pounds over 2 years. And now it's like a lot more, and like people are like, oh yeah, she's definitely bigger than she was when we first started this thread 118 pages ago or something. And like it's just fun to talk about. There's even someone, I saw someone like do like a cross analysis where like he's like, here's like her outfit, it's the same outfit from 3 years ago with the same pose and the same outfit 3 years later today, and you can see the difference. And then another person came out, it's like, look at this, here's like an outline I drew of like her belly shape underneath her clothes, because it's hard to tell. And like people get really into it. There's certain people that are like that. Other people are not. Other people are the opposite.
I just always feel bad because it's like if she ever saw that, like she would probably feel really, like, I don't know, because I feel like I've like had a lot of stuff pushed on me, like as far as on Curvage, that was like stuff that I didn't want. Or even like on YouTube, somebody was saying like, oh, each video you're getting chubbier. I'm like, I'm not. Like I weigh myself every day. I don't know what you're talking about. Like seriously, like since for the past year, like and then I went down for a little bit, and then now it's back up, which I'm like, fuck.
Oh no.
But like, I'm like, what? Like, and I'm not a feedie. I've never been a feedie, but people want to push that on me so bad, and it's like, I get pissed off because I just feel like people aren't listening to me. Like, it's nice to have that like space where you can express like what your fetishes actually are, and then when you talk about it and people don't get it, but like I know people have the fantasies they want like to think, because I have things that I want to think about people, like the eating the pie off the floor thing. Like I want to, oh, that's like the perfect feed. It's like he just couldn't control himself with the pie. That's nothing fucking to do with anything. I don't think there's anything to do with that, like intellectually, but like I just can't shake the idea that it's like, oh no, like that's really what it was about, you know. So it's like I'm nuts too. It's weird because I don't realize it until I think about how I am, and then I'm like, I'm just as bad as these motherfuckers. What am I talking about?
Yeah, because like that pie video we were looking at yesterday, that was lit. If a girl was doing that, I would like have some mixed feelings about it. Cause like
mixed feelings. Or even if you just
like I have mixed feelings because I know that slob is a sub kink of like fetishism and weight gain and expansion and stuff, and like I get it, but at the same time I don't look for it. I can't. Sometimes like it's so intense that I'm like, oh, like why are you eating off the floor? You can't do that. Oh, like, and it hurts me inside to see it. The closest I ever got to like slob was actually the opposite, because like I'm a very clean person. Like my whole half of my house is like really really clean and organized. So the way that I wrote it was like that for that fattening the personal trainer story. There was a scene where like Cody and Candace were like thinking about like just having a shower together and just washing each other down. And so like they take all the shampoo and they just pour it all over each other, and like they find out that it was a terrible idea, because realistically there's not enough room, and there's always one person that gets all the water and the other person is outside, and then like maybe someone's gonna like slip and fall because like everything's all slippery. So like
especially with all that shampoo, you're gonna definitely
I've only known like one person that's ever tried it, and it was a sergeant that was in one of the barracks that I lived in back in Japan. And the reason that was happening over there is because we had to share the bathroom, and also, by the way, he was not allowed to have his girlfriend come over and shower with him. But there was no one to talk to like rat him out, because he outranked everybody. And like he was like getting like orders to leave the place in a month anyway, so we'd never have to worry about him again. The guy was ass, but anyway, he did it. He could do it because the shower was huge. The shower itself was like as big as this whole room, because it's a barrack shower.
Wow. Is everyone supposed to like shower together in it?
Technically, they could if they wanted to, but like, okay, come to think of it, there were like little walls like in between. This barracks was a condemned barracks made in the 1950s for pilots, and like it just got worse and worse over the years. But we couldn't just move out of it because there were no other buildings to live in, and the budget for the whole base was like nothing. So we had ants everywhere. Gnats would come in through the walls and like die in the sink every morning. So we had to clean the whole place every 12 hours, basically.
Wow.
And then one day, the commandant of the Marine Corps was coming. We found out, and like this is a little side story, but like the commandant was coming, and like then we were cleaning nonstop for like a whole week because like potentially you go in there and like look in there, the highest ranking Marine in the whole world, and turns out he never actually did go into that barracks. But as he's getting onto his Osprey about to take off, he like turns around and he's like, "Oh, by the way, get all the Marines out of the condemned barracks and stuff them into the big barracks, the new one," and then he takes off. So then it didn't matter. We cleaned that place for a week, and then like everyone had to move out, and there wasn't even enough room for us. There wasn't. So I checked on Google Maps, and that barracks is still there. So potentially people are still living in that thing. I hope not.
Because I would imagine, like, it wouldn't be that expensive for, like, pest control type stuff. Like, you know.
I mean, we didn't have pest control. Marines don't, like, hire other people to clean stuff. Like, we do it. It's like this horrible thing called field day. And it can be all right. You do it once a week, usually on Wednesday. And you spend, like, a couple hours doing it. Sometimes it takes all night, though. It depends on, like, how intense they want the cleaning. And it's a very, like, good example of hazing, because you could have some corporal come in and, like, you say, "Hey, like, my barracks is done. Like, you want to check it out?" And they're like, "Sure," and they'll do this. Do you see that? Do you see that? And then, like, you look at it, and, like, there'll be, like, 3 specks of grain on it, and that means you have to clean everything again.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it depends on the unit. It depends on what corporal told you your room is fine. But the following day is what matters, because like first sergeant will come in, master sergeant, and like lieutenant with the captain, and they'll look at every single room. Sometimes like they'll be short on time and they'll check like 5 of them. But if they find any mess, then you have to clean even harder next week or even the following day. Sometimes it's so bad like we can't even like get released for the weekend. We have to just spend the whole night cleaning. That's happened before. So it's one of the reasons why people get out early, like after their first contract is done.
I would want to. It's bad enough at the tiki bar. We got to clean the bathrooms and like clean the kitchen and all that stuff. And the one guy there, he's like, "This is bullshit that we have this much side work for being a server. Like, why can't the hostesses do this?" And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just like, whatever. It doesn't bother me really. You know.
Well, that's good.
But it's like it's cleaned so often that it's not hard. Like if you're cleaning the bathroom every single day, like there's not really that much to clean. Where I feel like if you let it go like I do in the house, then you have to like do a lot more. So I think it makes more sense just to keep up on it. Like I don't let it go like super bad, but like it just like if I cleaned the bathrooms every day here, like it probably they would be easier to clean. But
are you worried about monkeypox?
No.
Like getting on the countertops or something?
No, I don't really know. I don't ever watch the news because it's so depressing and I get so pissed off.
Yeah, there's that.
So
it doesn't
I don't
look
know.
that bad. It's
just like a rash thing, right?
Yeah, it's like a rash. It's kind of like smallpox, but not quite as bad. And I heard a rumor that if you have the smallpox vaccine, then you don't get monkeypox either because they're related. Mm-hmm. But other people have told me that like it's a certain vaccine. Like now, I'm not sure, but I got fingers crossed because I did get smallpox vaccine.
That's
which
good.
is kind of fun.
I don't know if I did or not. I have like a bunch. I'm gonna say, are they like bug bites? I have a bunch of bug bites, but you can't see because my sleeves.
We're in Florida.
Yeah, I think it's just that. But I'm like, wait, is it like it freaked me out for a second? But what is it? It's like welts kind of, or it's not like bug
imagine
bites.
like little like welts like all like dotting across your skin. It's a pox. That's what pox is. And like apparently like it also makes you like really tired and stuff. It's not important. There's only like
I think that's
maybe 600 people that have caught it so far, so like, we don't have to worry about it.
Oh, but of course they want to. Oh my God, we're all gonna die.
Yeah, because like they remember last time, and so like oh no, there's like this contagious thing that no one had before, but now everyone has it, and like yeah, but still like I got coronavirus. I was okay. I got it on Thanksgiving because I went to Hooters and like. It was me and 3 other people. So like one of the 3 other people there gave it to me, and like at first I thought I was fine. I thought I was sore from deadlifting, like always, and I was like, but it's been more than 2 days and I'm still sore. So I went and got checked for $200, and they said, yeah, you got coronavirus. Good news is you don't have the flu. they said that. And they're like, okay, so like now you have to like be quarantined for 8 days. Don't like see anybody or anything, and like call this number and like tell us like the symptoms and stuff, because they were doing a study. And I did that, and like it was honestly terrible. I got like a lot of writing done, but I also watched a lot of analog horror stuff on YouTube, so I didn't get to sleep or anything. And I sort of like took it out on like, I forget what I was writing. I've been writing like 2 or 3 different things at a time now. So like right now I got like 3 things on my plate. I got the last chapter of The Thin College. I'm gonna finish that soon. And then I got the cheerleader versus influencer weight gain drive, which is really fun because like I have a friend of mine that's been like doing the artwork for it, and like I'm thinking of like 1 or 2 more chapters because they gained weight like way faster than I thought, and there's only so much plot that you can stuff into that. So like I'll finish it up, and then I'll come up with a new story.
Explain why they gain so much weight so fast.
Oh, so this whole story, the cheerleader versus influencer weight gain drive, if you're on Curvage, then like you know what it is, like because you're probably looking at it. But if you haven't seen it yet, it's basically like those DeviantArt weight gain drives where like, oh, like if you leave a like or a follow or like all this, then they gain certain number of pounds. And I was like, that's a cool thing to do. So I did one story based off of that, and then like to make it more interesting, I got my friend Silver Pathfinder to like do art for each chapter to show just the shape and how big each character is. And right now I'm like spicing it up by having like, instead of 1 character, there's 2 characters. There's the cheerleader and there's the influencer, and they're honestly like horrible people, and it's really hard to write them because I'm not a horrible person. So it's kind of funny. Like the plot is that they stumble across like a fairy at college while like they're arguing with each other, and the fairy switches their appetite. So like whatever one person eats, the other person like fills up, and vice versa. Which means that like you could have one person that's like, why am I still hungry? I feel like there's a bottomless pit in my stomach. Well, that's because you're stuffing the other person by accident. And I'm not pointing at you, I swear. So anyway, they'll have to work together if they want to save their reputations and their figures, and they don't, because they're terrible people. And they have a crush on like this same dude named Brad. Brad is like a frat boy, like he's like pledging to be like a frat boy, and like he's on the cheerleader team, which is like kind of like a little in-joke. And like they both like him. They both have a crush on him, and they both try to hit on him, but they can't do that if the other person's like hitting on him. So what do? Sabotage each other's figures. And they're like, oh, like I told her that I wasn't going to stuff myself today, but I'm going to totally do that. And I'm going to like do it as much as possible and like fill myself up with like a whole ice cream truck's worth of ice cream, because if like she notices that I'm doing this, then she's going to stuff herself too. So I have to do it now, tonight, while she's asleep. Stuff like that.
Does he wind up like liking bigger girls? Like, is that like that's going to be? I can't even. Because I think that would be funny. So either that or he's gay because he's a cheerleader.
Yeah, that would be funny if he was.
Like the Call Me Maybe videos. You ever
I just
see that
think
video?
like it would be like a cool idea if like it's like a stroke of genius if like you were a dude that went on the cheerleading team. And I've never tried it before myself. Like my parents just didn't want me to join sports, and I regret it. But there was
really,
yeah, like I wanted to be a football player, and they're like, "You're gonna bust your teeth out," and I'm like,
"You can get really."
You're a dentist, Dad. My dad's a dentist. You should give me new teeth, but I didn't.
He's
say
probably
that out loud.
seen too much of it though, like too many people that come in because they bust their teeth out. But the thing is, what about the concussions?
Oh,
like
concussions,
the ones
yeah.
like when they're, I don't know how much that happens like in high school,
I'm
but
like a skinny me,
professional.
so like even like in high school I was like 120 pounds, 125. I was tiny.
That's
and like
so
I was exactly the same height too, so like really skinny.
Oh my god.
Like I was like this, and I'm like, oh, I'm so strong.
You should do like gymnastics.
I should have. I did taekwondo instead. But anyway, with football, like they wouldn't have put me in the front. They would have made me a receiver or something. And like I'm fairly good at catching footballs if no one's actually trying to tackle me. But like it doesn't matter because you'd be wearing so much gear anyway, which is why I wanted to do it. But would have been like another genius thing if I'd ever thought of it. Join the cheerleading team. That would have been fun.
Guys have gone to beauty school for that reason, to meet
beauty
girls.
School?
Yeah, guys go to beauty school to meet girls. Because there's male hairstylists make way more money than female hairstylists.
How do they do that?
Because people just want to pay men more, like, in general. Like, even when it's up to people, even when it's up to women.
Really?
Like, if a guy's, like, all touching on their hair and, oh, you look so beautiful, they're all like, okay. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's a thing?
Yeah, oh yeah. And,
I thought it was the
gay
opposite.
or straight, it doesn't matter. Yeah, the men always make more doing hair.
I mean, like, my hair's not long enough to do anything interesting, but, like, that would be interesting. I don't know enough about beauty school to actually write anything about it. So I have to do some research.
Yeah, I could tell you about it.
Maybe.
Because there's a guy that I work with. That's why he went. And I'm like, that's like a big commitment just to meet girls. Like, it's not that hard to meet girls. Like, I don't know.
Want to. Where should I go to meet girls? Like, I live in Washington D.C. and like we have like this culture there where everyone is there. They don't actually live there. They'll move in for a couple years. They'll do their work and then they'll be gone. And, like, every time you meet, like, some hot girl and, like, you're, like, dating her, which is, like, this is what happens to me, they'll be like, oh, so what do you do? What's your job? What do you want to do? And that's the opener. And I don't know if that's everywhere or if that's just DC, but apparently what other people are saying is that it's not normal. This is not what other places are like. I don't know any better because I went to, like, a bunch of, like, stupid places to find girls. I had a terrible time. So imagine, like, how hard it is where, like, you have, like, a secret, like, weight gain expansion kink that you must absolutely not let anyone know about. So, like, there's no one to talk to you about that. And then, like, you're, like, constantly, like, horny all the time, but you can't say anything. And you just, like, sort of wander around. And then what made it even worse is that I went to, like, this super conservative college called Hillsdale in Michigan. And it's, like, this small private college. I got a really good education from it. But the bad part about it was, like, I was surrounded by these homeschooled Christian morons that were just, like, dumb. They were just rich kids. And it was really hard to, like, do anything fun. Like, we had curfews between the dorms. So, like, and they were really complicated, too. So dumb. Like, there's no way you can remember all that. And, like, you had to keep your door open. We had prefects, like in Harry Potter. And they would, like, wander the hallways and make sure that no one was doing anything fishy. And, like, it was just impossible to, like, do any dating. And, like, everyone was so, like, stiff and, like, kind of too moral. And, like, they all had, like, these really strong opinions. Like, Facebook was a nightmare. Because, like, everyone was always arguing about, like, stupid things. And you'd think that if everyone is conservative, that they'd all, like, be, like, harmonious and, like, agree with each other. But it's the exact opposite because they're terrible people.
Was it different kinds of Christians too, though? Like,
yes. Actually, like, you go into the chow hall and, like, the Baptists sat together and the Catholics had the long table because there was a lot of them. And then there was, like, the Episcopalians that, like, sat in the corner and, like, then there was, like, the sports girls and the guys. They would sit by, like, the actual conveyor belt where, like, they would drop off plates because they'd get, like, multiple plates because they're eating all the time. But yeah, like, people segregated themselves based on religion.
People do that. It's beautiful they do it with race.
Yeah,
it's still weird. To this day, it's like that. People, I mean, I get why people feel, like, more comfortable around people that they have stuff in common with, but at the same time, I think it is good to, like,
I tried to
branch out a little bit, you know?
I did. I branched out a lot and made myself out to be, like, the awkward duck of the group because, like, I'm just, like, a normal guy that, like, just wanted to go to a good college. And, like, my dad was super conservative, so he's like, oh, like, read this. This is, like, the newsletter from speeches done at that college. So I grew up reading that, and I was like, oh, that's a good college. I'll go there. And then I got stuck there for 4 years. So it was a bad experience. And that's one of the things that made it hard to date. Here's an example. I spent, like, a few months trying to date this crush of mine. And both of us were too shy and awkward to actually say that it was never going to work. So you have me on one side, like, trying to, like, ask her out to, like, movies or out to eat or, like, anything. And she'll, like, politely be like, oh, no, I'm doing my homework, like, not today. And that lasts a few months. And, like, finally one day she's like, okay, well, we need to go to the chow hall, not for a date, and talk it over. And I'm like, okay. So I was curious, like, what she was actually going to say, and, like, what she told me was, so, first off, we're never going to date. And I looked at her, and I'm like, why? Never.
Yeah, and then why would she make it seem like that was going to happen if she knew it wasn't going to happen?
She told me to my face that it was because I was, like, immoral, and, like, it was a sin to try to have a relationship with a person, because your only love should be to God. She told me that to my face.
So she wanted to be like a nun? Like, I mean, you're never going to have a relationship with anybody?
I was like,
or?
That's crazy. And I'm like, where are you getting this from? I know your major is philosophy and theology. So, like, I know where you're getting it from, but, like, no one lives like that. Like, and she's like, it doesn't matter, because this life doesn't matter. What matters is, like, the life beyond. And I'm like, okay, yes, wait, hold on. What about your parents? Your parents, like, love each other, right? Right? Please tell me that your parents love each other. And she's like, oh, yeah, they love each other through God. And I'm like, can we do that? And she's like, no, because, like, you're not Christian. And I'm like, I'm the most religious person here. I've been visiting all the churches, like, trying to figure out, like, the meaning of, like, life and stuff. And, like, because, like, I didn't grow up in churches. So
well, they want
I
wanted to, like, believe in one thing and that's it. Being curious, I think people don't like that because it's like then you're
I think it's because I was
comply.
listening to German metal, like, all the time.
That's funny.
And, like, watching anime. This college was, like, so stuck up that anime was not a thing. Like, anyone that watched anime was weird. So I didn't have much luck there. I was president of the anime club, and I had, like, 2 people that were, like, showing up, so, like, that was cool. But that was it.
That's cool.
And then, like, what made it worse was that after college, I got into the Marine Corps, and then, like, the ratio between guys to girls was, like, 24 to 1. So for every girl, there was 24 guys. And they were, like, some weird girls. There was, like, 3 types of girls in the Marine Corps. And there's, like, an even number of each. So it's, like, an even split. There were the girls that were, like, absolutely stunning and amazing in every way. They get married within a month of boot camp. That's because everyone gets all these orders and stuff, and they go all over the place, so you can't get to know them. You have to, like, make the call and be like, am I marrying or am I not? And you have to do it, like, right away. And the Marine Corps makes that as easy as possible for you. Like, they'll give you BAH, base allowance housing. They'll give you, like, money for, like, having a spouse. They'll give you money for having children. And so, like, that's nice. But the divorce rate's still, like, 85%.
Well, yeah, because they're, like, giving you too many incentives to get married, I feel like, at that point. Like, you shouldn't be getting married to get, like, extra money and stuff.
So there's 3 types of Marine girls. There's the nice kind that get married within a month. And then there's the batshit crazy ones that, like, are really crazy. Not just a little bit, but, like, really crazy. And then there's the lesbians. And it's, like, a third for each kind. So, like, I had my share of experience with all of them. And, like, all of the good ones were already married. And, like, I did, like, date a few of them just a little bit for, like, maybe 6 months or so. And then I got orders to a new place and I never saw them again.
Oh, that sucks.
And, like, there was another time where, like, I knew this one girl named Zonka. I don't know how to spell that, but she was fun to, like, hang out with. And then she did happen to get orders to the same military base that I was at, and it would have worked out, but then, like, I meet her again, and she introduces me to her roommate, and it's this other girl, and, like, they were arguing like an old couple, and then, like, I noticed she had a wedding ring on, and I was like, So then, like, I put, like, the math together. They are married, but they only did it because, like, they wanted to get out of the barracks, which is, like, a common excuse. And she did go through a chonk phase during the pandemic, which was, like, I felt really guilty about, like, getting excited over it because, like, she's supposed to, like, stay fit and, like, athletic for her job. She's a Marine. So, like, I felt bad for it, but also she was a terrible person. She, yeah. Long story. I might write about it later because, yeah. Anyway, that's what I was like growing up. Like, there wasn't really any chance to meet any girls. So, like, the first time I actually got to do anything interesting was recently while, like, I got out. And there are, like, some good people to talk to. But there's also some crazy ones. Like, my ex-girlfriend, she's, like, 220 pounds. We shared a lot in common. Like, we used to read the Kip Tay Tay comics from DeviantArt She draws
cool.
like some like little comics of like girls that get stuffed and stuff. They're really cute. And
like, she was like into that.
Yeah, I look at her DeviantArt page sometimes to see like what her favorites look like, and it's full of chunkers. And she has like a furry side to herself, so like there's a lot of furry chunkers on there. And obviously she's a girl that was into me, so there were like a lot of like big ass giant dudes on there too. I could tell she really wanted me to be like super buff, and I was doing the best I could. I still am. I'm trying to gain weight now, but it's hard because.
Do you do like why don't you do like weight gainer shakes with like ice cream and shit?
I do. I have those.
Oh yeah, shit.
It's the only problem is cleaning out the little shakers, because like, I always the little ball inside always goes missing, and then if you ever like don't open one of those up and then you open it, it is the worst smell.
Yeah.
No, I take that back. It's the second worst smell. The worst smell for me is tequila, because even though it doesn't smell bad, I'll smell it and I'll be like, oh, like remember last night?
Yeah, I don't think there's tequila in the zombie though. I have to check. Really?
I could taste it.
It might be just like a weird rum though, because there's like a lot of rums.
Rum is. I've had rum before. It's all right. Whiskey, I think, tastes better than rum, and vodka tastes good as well. But it doesn't really. It's not really something that that you can chug for a long time. I can't do it because I'm a lightweight. So, anyway, my ex-girlfriend, I tried to make it work, but she was like really like self-conscious and vulnerable and stuff, and like I tried to work through it with her, because basically every time a girl was in the same room as us, even if it was her best friend, she always like accused me of like cheating on her. And she told
That's weird.
She told me later that the reason she was like that is because of her last two boyfriends that were physically abusive, and they cheated on her like all the time. And I was like, I won't do that. I'll share my phone number password. I'll give my phone to you every time we're together. And she still didn't believe me. Even after like going through my phone, she's like, who's this? She'll take out my phone and she'll be like, who's this that you texted like yesterday? And I'll be like, that's my sister. You know my sister. And she's like, okay, well then who's this? And then she'll show me another one. And I'm like, that is my trainer friend from the gym. Which, okay, that does sound suspicious, but this girl was engaged to someone else. And last I checked with her, she works at a bank, and like she's pregnant. She blew up. Oh my gosh. This girl, that's another story. But she's with someone else, and that's what matters to me, because relationships matter so much to me that I would never like try to like break someone else's relationship, because it just, to me, it looks so good to see people together.
Also, too, the fact that you weren't physically abusive, didn't that like kind of clue her into the fact that you're probably not cheating on her either? Like, you're not that personality type. That's the weird part to me, because like I feel like you can tell if somebody's like that or not. Like, and you can tell if somebody still has feelings for an ex-girlfriend. I could always tell, because I was like, times I would go crazy, it was like when there were still feelings for like an ex-girlfriend, or there was some kind of a power dynamic that was really fucked up. But usually, like, you can tell when a guy's not over his ex-girlfriend. Like,
yeah, some people don't have that facet of intelligence, and for her, I guess she did, but she would actually tell me straight up that like she would feel that I was doing something wrong, and I'm like, I can't fix it if you don't tell me what it is. And she's like, I think you're cheating. And I'm like, well, I'm not, and we already proved that I'm not. And that, like, every 2 weeks, it would be like the same argument over again. Like, we'd have like the best times together, and then like she'd like bring up all the old arguments, even though we'd already hashed them out, as if we'd never talked about them before. And it was toxic. And like, I haven't spoken to her in months because of that, and her brother broke into my car and choked me. I think I told you about that. Like, I was dropping her off, and he was mad that I didn't like drop her off fast enough, because he was mad that he had to babysit her 2 kids. And I was like, eh. So anyway, so many red flags. I tried to make it work, because relationships are hard, so I wanted to actually have a real functioning relationship for once. But after that, I'm like, no, I don't need to go to the ghetto and like drop her off. I don't need to like be choked out by this prison convict, like this guy that like stalked me in his car. Like, he didn't just do that. Like, once I left, I texted, like, my ex-girlfriend to ask if she was, like, okay, like, to be there with him. She's like, oh, it's my brother. He's like this. And I'm like, yeah, why didn't you warn me? She's like, well, this is why I've never introduced you to my family. And then, like, I see him running after my car. And I drive away. He gets in his car. He drives after me. I gave him the slip. And I'm, like, texting her the whole time. I'm like, hey, he's after me. Like, at least he didn't have a gun. That would have been
Why
something.
Was he after? For what?
He was mad. He was mad that, like...
You dropped her off too late?
Yeah. That's why he was mad.
She probably just thinks all guys are fucked up because that's what she's been around for so long. But
yeah,
I almost wonder too, because people that like if they like if you're in like so this is like I think this is just true. Like if you're in an abusive relationship, like obviously like you have some things like you feel bad about yourself that you're gonna put up with that shit. So like then when somebody treats you well, you can't process it. You know, and I think that's probably what it was. Like she couldn't possibly think things were good because it's so scary to think things are good because they're obviously going to turn bad, and that's how like an abusive relationship usually too. It's like heaven and hell and heaven and hell and heaven and hell. Like it's the worst person in the world and like the greatest high ever. Like it's like always back and forth. So like probably when things were good, that's why she would start fighting with you because she'd be like, well, you're going to start anyway. But like after like how many times you're going to realize that like you're not going to start the fight. But she's probably like super. What was her dad? Was her dad abusive to her mom?
I never met her parents.
Does she ever talk about it?
She does. I think she was like on Twitter once, and she was like, "Hey, thanks, Dad, for Dad's Day, like for never being there, because I didn't want you to be there." And I'm like, "Okay." So that was stuff going on, and I felt like bad for what she was going through. I could tell she was going through some stuff. So like I wanted to be there, but after a while, I just couldn't.
Yeah, don't do that to yourself because she might never change.
I never thought I would learn a lesson like that, like where two people love each other, but they cannot be together. I never thought that was a real thing, but it is. And it hurt. It hurt a lot. It would have hurt more if it was the first time, but like remember, the crazy girl from college that like says that I need to love God and not her, or the crazy Russian stalker at my barracks. Did I tell you that story?
Oh.
There was this Russian Marine girl with this weird ass voice, but I found out later that she had a wish list, and she never told me what the wish list was, but she's like, I have 17 boys on my wish list, and I've crossed out 11 of them, and she winks, and I'm like, okay. So anyway, I'm just chilling out in my barracks room.
That's weird, that's so weird. I mean, I'm like pretty forward, but that's like a whole other level.
She's like sort of hot.
That's
like,
weird.
In a weird Russian ballerina sort of way, and she also had like this weird voice, like, she sounded... I'm gonna try to do her voice, because, like, she broke into my room, because, like, my lock was broken. She's like, Chandler, come on, get the fuck out of there. We're gonna go to the chow hall. That's what her voice sounded like to me.
Is it, like, really low?
Yeah, it was.
It's funny.
So, I managed to escape by going through, like a window and, like, meeting up with my friends and going to eat with them. But guess who was waiting for us in the chow hall? She opens up the front door. She's like, get the fuck inside, I got us a table. Like, she's got no filter. She's like an awkward duck. So then, like, we sit with her because we can't do anything else. And then she, like, badmouths all of us and makes it super awkward. We don't want to be there. And she's still trying to get me to go to the chow hall with her every day. So the way I figured out how to chase her away was, she's Russian. So I put on some Russian number station recordings on my computer to make it sound like I'm listening to some classified, like, spy numbers. And then, like, there's one light in my room that flickers, so I turned off all the other lights, so only the flickering light is left, and I pulled down the drapes, and, like, I closed the door, and she opens the door, and she's like, Chandler, come on, where are you? What the fuck is going on in here? And I run up, and I, like, close the door. I'm like, give me a minute. So then, like, I didn't even know that she was going to take that seriously. But the following weekend, we're at formation, and the guy next to me is like, hey, so Chandler, I heard you're a Russian spy.
That's funny.
She's the only person that saw that happen, so...
So she must have said something?
She was really dumb. This girl was like... She got in trouble because when you're sick in the Marine Corps, you have to go to the corpsman, who's like in the Navy. It's like a weird thing that we got because we don't have doctors. So, like, he did a check. The corpsman does a checkup and is like, yeah, you're sick. You need to be, like, quarantined in your room for, like, 5 days. So, she came into my room one day trying to hit on my roommate, because, like, they were fucking each other. and she's like, so I got like this quarantine slip from the corpsman, and I get like 5 days off, and I don't have to go to work because like fuck like work and everything because I hate people. And like I was like, well, it's suspicious, but like she doesn't look sick, so I guess I'm gonna be okay. And then like that slip of paper went up to First Sergeant's desk because he has to check off on it, and he's like, I didn't hear about her getting sick. Hey, Corman, did she see you? And he's like, looks at it, and he's like, that's not my signature. She forged a signature, so she got in trouble for that.
Oh my god.
And then later on, she like really wanted to get out of the Marine Corps like early instead of waiting for a contract to be up. So she told everyone she started hearing voices. So she got out early that way.
Does she get like an honorable discharge for like stuff beyond your control, or does it just run?
I don't know what she got, but she was doing so much shit and like getting in trouble all the time. So I don't know what happened. Like last I checked, she's married to another guy in upstate New York, and she's still the same old Russian girl. So I know that like there's stuff going on behind the scenes, but I think she's starting to like mature a little bit. But anyway, this is one of the reasons why I didn't really have like any chances to like date girls in the Marine Corps, because like I was stuck with these girls.
Yeah, really.
I did have like some lesbian girls that were my bosses, and they would pick on me, because like one of them was Robin's. She had tattoos like yours, and she had arms twice as big around as yours because she was like really buff and strong. She was having some diet trouble, so like of course I had the kink activated, and I was like, wow, she's really hot in multiple ways, because like she has like a belly punch that she's trying to get rid of, but she can't because she keeps going out drinking, and she keeps like telling me to like do stuff and like punishing me and stuff. So then like she found out somehow that like I liked her, and she started stalking me at work. She's like, hey Chandler, I heard you like me, right? I'm hot, I don't mind, I know I'm hot, you can tell me I'm hot. And I'm like,
because she's a lesbian.
But she's my boss, and I'm like, Corporal, I can't. It's forbidden. I can't. And so like she's like, you can tell me. And I was like, but you're married, Corporal. And she's like, yeah, but I'm divorcing my girlfriend like soon. And I'm like, I didn't need to know that. So she's been picking on me this whole time, and like it was annoying because like she did weird things. Like she was trying to eat my jelly beans. I shared my jelly beans with everybody in the office. And, like, she looked at those, and she only wanted the black ones. There was, like, the black ones were her favorite. So she only ate those because she was dieting. And she'd nibble them. Because, like, one of the black types of jelly beans was licorice, and she did not like those. So she had a pile...
yeah, what's the other kind?
She had a pile of, like, half-eaten licorice jelly beans. And I was, like, looking at it, and I was like, what the fuck is this? What is she doing? So then she saw me, and she's like, here, Chandler. You can have like the rest. And I was like, no.
That's weird.
Oh, that was so weird. And then guess what happened? She went on a deployment to Australia, and she blew up like a mad pufferfish. She was going through stuff, and then she couldn't work out at the gym anymore, so she gained what looked like 30 pounds in like 2 months. So she came back, and like I was like checking out of the barracks, and I was about to go outside, and she was outside. And I saw her from behind, and I literally like said it out loud. I'm like, whoa.
Oh shit! Did she hear you?
No, because she was outside the door, so she couldn't hear me. But I like turned around and I'm like, whoa.
That's funny.
Now she's in Texas. She's trimmed herself back down, so like her chubby phase is over. But it was amazing that it happened.
When she was like teasing you and like fucking with you, did it turn you on at all or no? Or like in hindsight, does it or no? Like the humiliation?
No, it wasn't the humiliation or anything. And
I'm just curious.
Like I know that there's like a whole like it's like people are doing research papers on it now. Like some people are like naturally submissive and some people are naturally dominant, and there's like a dom sub like relationship, and like there's like weird little things that they add to it, like a power dom or power bottom or whatever, from all sorts of different directions. And I'm like, okay, so like there's all this stuff, but that's not the way that I've always thought. And my ex-girlfriend read some of my stuff that I was writing, and she's like, I can tell that you like a certain way of thinking, like you like sub stuff. And I'm like, not on purpose. I don't actually like try to write that way, or like try to write a submissive character or a dominant character. Some people do, but I don't.
Oh, you're just going off of like how you feel, like what you like. Is that
Yeah.
Because like, I don't think anyone chooses to be dominant or submissive. It's just how you are.
It's also circumstance. Like some characters like become dominant because of what they've gone through, and like vice versa as well. There's a friend of mine named West Metal. He's so fucking good at writing. He's not called West Metal on Curvage. He's called Batman 76. And he's done like a lot of stories.
Is it like a fat Superman looking thing for his like picture?
It's Power Girl. It's a fat Power Girl.
Because that sounds so Batman 76.
Yeah, you've
really
seen him.
How do you know? Have I replied to stuff he said, or he's replied on something of mine?
Well, you probably saw like some of his replies to some of my stuff if you were reading my stuff.
Probably, yeah.
And if you were reading anything that he wrote, then like you would see that profile as well. He's really good, but he does like the whole like switching from a dominant to a submissive. And like as a matter of fact, there's one story that he's been doing recently. It's called DC Women Weight Gain, or I forget. It's basically like all of the girls in the DC universe. What if they got fat at the same time? And it's kind of funny. Like he's nailed down the humor that superhero movies have, where like you have like quips and stuff. But like more importantly, there's like Power Girl in there in one of the stories, and she accidentally gains weight for plot reasons, and she kind of like goes through like an identity crisis because she's used to being so strong and beautiful and like muscular with giant tits and stuff, and now she's like an apple-shaped like MILF or something that's like 300 pounds or more, and then like she accidentally gets herself into like a toxic relationship with Harley Quinn of all people. I don't know how that happened, but like he thought of it, so it happened. And like the whole point of it was that like she was like submissive to Harley Quinn because she was being blackmailed. So that was a thing.
People get so
Harley Quinn was also fat, by the way.
Crazy. What do you think? So this is a very, very big question for me. I don't understand it. What do you think it is about the like? Because to me, it's like it's exciting to see somebody who's like for like even guys, girls, whatever. But mostly like is it guys, but like I like girls too. But seeing someone chubby gain weight, like because that's like kind of already who they are. But I know it's like a huge thing, and I had mentioned that in the FA Thoughts video, that people who are like super fit or thin gaining weight, it's just hard for me not to see it as like straight up like ruination, because I feel like a lot of it's like, oh, like she's failing, and like I get off on that, and that's like, oh.
Some people do. Some people really like that, and I'll see the stories that are like that, and I can't finish them because it just hurts me inside. Like all of my stories, like they are about girls that like gain weight, but it's always in the context of like they become something better than they were before, or like they get like some character development and like they become a better person, or like they'll swell up to like 600 pounds, but like not forever, because like to me it feels wrong to like make someone immobile and then like just leave them like that. So like I can't do it. And
people do that. There was someone like that. Their like wife did that to them, and like a guy.
Oh wow.
And I was like, that bitch is going to hell. Like I can't believe somebody would do that. It's like, oh, now it's inconvenient for me, so I'm just gonna. That's like the part that's like, to me, I like fat people, and like I like the idea of weight gain too, but weight gain isn't my main thing. It's just more fat. So like it doesn't really matter to me if somebody gains or not. Like it's more just like they have to be fat to begin with. So like I can't understand being like making someone gain all this weight or assisting someone in gaining all this weight. Cause I'm sure they're complicit in the whole thing. But like
I get that.
And then just being like, oh, now I want to do it again with somebody else. It's like that's really shitty.
So
like really shitty. And I think there's a lot of people that are like that, which is like.
I think the appeal of like someone really hot and sexy getting fat is, the first thing is that it's instinctual. Like for me, skinny girls are also hot. Like, chubby girls are hot, but also skinny girls. And, like,
most guys are like that. It's like a guy thing.
I will instinctively see, like, a hot girl, like, in general, and be like, wow, she's really hot. What if, like, she gained weight, though? Because then she'd be even hotter. And, like, I think that's what everyone thinks. Like, that like, likes people that are really thin or fit, gaining weight. I think that's what they're thinking. Another thing about it is the contrast. Like, the whole notion of like someone like that is like the exact opposite of what you like, slowly becoming like someone that is like super sexy to you, and like you see like the slightest ounce gained and you're like, wow, that's so amazing, this is great, I can't believe it's happening. And I noticed that like if you listen to like I have like a friend of mine from college who is gay, and he has a boyfriend now, and like he happens to live like a few miles from me. So I was talking to him about it, and he's like, gay people do this too, because I was telling him about what I write, and he is like, so the fantasy for gay people is like a completely straight man that like becomes gay, and like they'll write stories about that. And I'm like,
oh, I could totally see that, because that's why I was like, I guess that's like, I mean, I've been with guys that have been with guys, but like that would be like I there's a lot of gay guys that I'm very attracted to, and it's like because they're gay. It's not because they're gay, but like it's like the gayness of them is what attracts me to them. And I think it is like that, like, oh, like, but they would, like, you know, fuck with me, though. Like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like, that, like, idea of, like, I could, like, change their mind, which is, like, you can't.
Oh, my gosh, you're like
necessarily.
My baby brother.
But, like, I mean, I feel like, you know, it's just, like, I think it's maybe that you can't have them kind of thing makes it hot. Or it's just the balls to be themselves. I don't know. There's, like, something about that for me. I don't know. That's a thing for me. I don't know why.
It might be that. I always wondered why my sister and my brother were into, like... So my sister was into, like, people that acted gay. And I was like, maybe she just likes the personality. And then, like, my brother was into lesbians because they were exciting. And so he kept getting himself, like, into trouble in high school because he would try to, like, do something to, like, win their hearts. So here's the thing. He met a girl named Star. I doubt that's her real name, but, like, he told me her name was Star. And they shared a class together, and, like, they did fun activities. And, like, if it were me, in high school, I was super shy. So I'd be, like, I would, like, probably, like, look in awe and wonder at her for a little bit. I'm like, wow, she's amazing. I wish she'd walk over and talk to me. And even if she did, I probably wouldn't know what to do. Because, like, I was that kind of guy. I didn't know what to do. I was scared. I was scared of them saying no. But my brother, he's, like, 19 now. He, at the time, was, like, 15, 14, and he stood up on a desk in like an intermission while the teacher was out, and he proclaimed his love to Star in front of everyone. And that would have been the end of it there. But no, Star said yes. But then, like...
Oh, that's cool.
No, because Star had a girlfriend who, like, held him hostage with a pocket knife and was like, you stay away from my girl. And I was like, wow, this story is, like, blowing out of the water already. So, next thing that happens is apparently, like, she wants to get a gender reversal change, but, like, also be with my brother, and my brother is like, no, you don't have to do that, you're pretty the way you are. And, like, my parents were
gender
like...
reversal? She was trans, or...?
She wanted to be, but this was high school, so, like, they didn't know what to do at that point. So, like, my parents were like, you cannot be with this girl anymore, because, like, you know, pocket knife, girlfriend, and all that. So we forbid you from being in that classroom ever again. So then one day he just ran away. Like, he didn't get on the bus home. So my younger sister calls my parents and they're like, hey, Gregory, like, this dude, he ran away. So then my dad has to go, like, drive a whole hour to, like, that place. And, like, he finds him in tears outside the door because the door's locked. And he's grown out of it, but then he had a crush on another lesbian. Because I guess he likes colored hair and stuff. And...
Well, there's plenty of... Well, I guess it's, like, depends what you were saying, where you guys, like, grew up. But, like, it depends. Because, like, I think a lot of people would assume that I was a lesbian just because I'm different. And it's like, just because I'm different doesn't mean that I'm a lesbian. You know what I mean? But because I color my hair in different colors and that kind of... But there's plenty of straight girls that do that, too. Or bi, or what, you know, whatever. I would consider myself, I guess, pansexual. Like, because, like, there's people who are androgynous that I find attractive. There's people who are trans that I find attractive. Like Chaz Bono. I think Chaz Bono lost weight, though, which is,
Who's
like...
Chaz Bono?
Sad. Shares... they're trans, so they were female, and then they transitioned to male. Chaz Bono's been on, like, Drag Race a lot, and I love Drag Race, RuPaul's Drag Race, and I think they're attractive, definitely. And they were in American Horror Story, too. Well, he was in it. I said they. I say they when I'm not sure what they want to be called.
I need to watch that show.
It's so good.
I watched, like,
American
half of
Horror
one
Story
season.
Oh, so good. I love it.
It was the one where, like, they're in the asylum, but they're not supposed to be in the asylum. Maybe
why are
you
they
haven't
not
seen.
supposed to? I'm trying to think because I've
Well,
seen
like
the asylum. I've seen it pretty much every until they did the 1984 one, and I was like, that I thought it was 1984
like George Orwell's 1984.
Yes, and it wasn't. It was like Jason slasher at the summer camp thing, and I'm like, yeah, like how are you gonna do that? It's been done so many times, and it just wasn't good, and they weren't the same actors at all. Hotel, I think, was the last one that I was really into because my girl Gaga was in it, and she was
Nice.
so good. She was so good. So, I really liked that one. And it was like he had this like double life. The guy, like the main character, had like a double life. So it was like he had like his regular life during the day, and then he'd go to the hotel and he'd be like in another world. And I just love that idea of being in another world. Like for me, like as far as like with like fetish stories and stuff, like when there's like fantasy stuff, like things like, it just doesn't do that anything for me. Like the fairy thing or like witch thing or there's like so many different like things in there. Or they take some kind of a pill or a food and then it changes things. That doesn't really do anything for me, but the idea of something that's like kind of a more realistic escape from reality, I like a lot. Like the idea of like you have this like during the day you're like this normal person and then you go and like do the wild shit you really want to do at night. Like I love that idea. So that's why I like Hotel so much. So if you want to watch, I would watch Hotel or the very first season. Those are the best, I think.
That'd be good. I write fantasy sometimes. Not all the time, but I know what you're talking about with like the realistic fantasy where like things are in a normal setting, but there's like a little bit of magic laced into it. So I write about that a lot. So it's fun. But the thing that like I think that is the weakness for fantasy and like magic in particular is that it can turn into like a plot device that is way too powerful. Like suppose like you have like a potion that like makes someone blow up to like 200 pounds and there's nothing you can do about it, or like you just wave your wand and like anything happens. That's You could write about that, but like where's like the suspense and like the thrill of like figuring out exactly how it works. So whenever I write about magic, I try to ground it into some rules, and like I try to make the rules make sense. So like for example, within college there is magic in it. It's like there's like this kid in college and like he's like got like a magic phone app that allows him to make people gain weight, but it's not that simple because he has to power it up. And the way it starts out originally is like he has to be able to like get people to eat food and then lose weight. So like the difference in the weight they lost is added to his balance in the app. So like, oh, you've earned like say 10 pounds because so these people have eaten so much and then they lost weight for whatever reason from like sweating, working out, or whatever. And so like now you have 10 pounds to work with, and you can use those 10 pounds to like do like a hex and like make someone else gain 10 pounds, for example. And like it compounds from that. So I think that's part of the appeal of the story is like the fact that like there were some like actual rules to it, because that's what made it interesting. Like if he could just like do magic spells on people and make them just fat like instantly, it wouldn't be quite as interesting. But if like he had to work for it and like how he would do it and how hard it was, that made it more fun to read.
Well, I like the idea too of like the person being like really greedy and kind of like when you were saying about like the fear that you felt when you were watching like that new professor or like certain things. I feel like I think sometimes like the fetish comes from that, like the fear of like letting go or the fear of being out of control. So like the idea of someone being out of control or like not caring that they're out of control is very exciting because it's like that's like like there's the fear and excitement. I don't know. Marilyn Manson says a way that makes a lot of sense. There's like fear, like causing erotic stuff. It's kind of like in like all the horror movies. They always have like some kind of sex stuff, whatever it is. And I don't think they do it just to like kind of like soften the blow of seeing all the like death and shit. I think they do it because like the fear and sexuality like they go together in a way.
What horror movies have you been watching?
Well, I think it's not like that. I don't watch like slashery things, but like
it's like they're like Tremors, the giant worms. Like, is there a sexual tension in the Tremors movie?
I don't think I've seen. Maybe I've
there
seen
is. It's
but
been
I think
a while
a lot of
since I've
times
watched
there
those
is.
movies.
Like, there's like a part of it that's like that, and I think it's because it hits like a similar place in your brain. I have no idea, but the way he explains it, like Manson explains it just so well, and I'm like I try, and then like I know the gist of it, but I can't do it the same way. But he was saying there's like an erotic thrill from something that's like fear, which I kind of get, or something that's dark, or like that kind of like I definitely get it from like the dark thing, like or things that are taboo, or like that kind of idea. Like there's that like like kind of like risky, you know, like there's, you gotta feel like there's like a little bit of danger there, I feel like, for it to be like exciting. I mean, because you were saying before, like, very adventurous, and I feel like you probably feel the same way. It's like if you're doing, the more wild or dangerous the thing you're doing is, the more exciting it's gonna be.
Yeah, or the more terrifying. And like you can put that. I actually utilize that in my writing a lot. Every once in a while, someone will complain. It's like this whole like fetishism thing is toxic because you can feed someone into immobility, or like they can get heart attacks and stuff, and that's understandable. And that's one of the reasons why I write it instead of actually do it, because I don't want to actually hurt anybody.
Yeah.
And another part of it is like the next thing that like people might lead on to that is, oh, like, well, like if you're writing it, then why are you writing about something that's so toxic? And like one of the things that they point out is like, oh, like why would people write about someone that like that's like perfectly fit and athletic and then gains weight and they're fat and like they lose their baseball scholarship or whatever, or something
yeah,
like that.
I don't like that kind of
and
stuff.
I don't either, not 100%. But the reason people do it is because it adds like that terror, that tension. It's kind of scary to read about, and that makes it really exciting at the same time. And I think that's also why 50 Shades of Grey is so popular, because BDSM on the whole is filled with stuff like that.
That book is so boring. Yeah. Oh my god, I was trying to read it, and then I'm like, I got like a few pages into it, and I'm like, let's go. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, I can't have this much build up. Like 10 pages is enough for me, and even that is asking a lot.
I mean, I know what it is, but I've never read it because
it's
that's
not good.
My stuff that I'm into.
And it seems like it's in a place that's cold, and I don't like that. So especially now living in Florida, like I just picture like, I don't know if it's in like Chicago or like Seattle, or I really don't know where it's based.
I just know like the guy is really
rich.
Cold.
Yeah, but like the guy they had play him in the movie is like not sexy. He has no sex. They should have got like, if even though Johnny Depp's old now, like, and this is years ago they made the movie, they should have picked like someone like Johnny Depp that's like really hot, or like Channing Tatum who's like really hot. Like, I don't know, anybody who's really hot. There's only two guys that I could say like people universally think are hot, and if you don't, like, I mean that's your opinion, but you're probably wrong now. But they're just really really hot. Like as far as like Ryan Gosling, no. The other Ryan, whatever his last name is, no. Ryan Reynolds, no. Like there's like so many guys that everyone thinks are like, Brad Pitt, mid. Brad Pitt is mid. I don't care what anybody says. I don't think Brad Pitt is that attractive at all. Elvis Presley, super hot. Tiny Tim in that one video, that everyone makes fun of me that I think this is sexy, but it's really good in one video.
Is sexy?
In the one video, okay. You have to see the video to understand. Tiny Tim is like he's like a musician from the 70s. And
yeah,
he would do like lots of covers. There, you have to. I'll show it to you after this. It's very good. It's very good. It's Earth. He performs Earth Angel, and he starts out singing like really low, where he makes Elvis sound like a little girl, and like that's how sexy his voice is. And then he starts singing high, and like the juxtaposition between it, and just like he's just like he's touching his hair, like he's like feeling himself, like the confidence, I think, is what's really sexy. But I don't know, whatever. For certain things, it's like either like bigger chubby guys that have like shorter hair and like you know whatever, like really cute baby faces, or like Marilyn Manson and Tiny Tim. So I don't know. Yeah, it's like weird. I have like a total departure there. I don't know why.
We have to like do like a whole study to figure out like what it is that makes like certain people hot.
Well, I think to me too, it's like so like they don't give a fuck that it's socially unacceptable. That like turns me on. Like the fact that it's like, you know, they're like either like doing something that's like gender bending, or they're like, you know, they're a weight that people would be like, oh, you're so handsome, like, but if you just lost weight, like the kind of the balls to be able to like be who you are no matter what anybody says, like, and be comfortable with who you are, like enough. Like I know a lot of guys that are like bigger or insecure, but it's kind of like at the same time, like if you hated it that much, then you would probably do something to change, I would imagine. So it's like there's kind of like that, like, I mean, at least the way I see it, it's kind of like that ballsiness of like they just kind of stay that way because they're like, I want to do what I want to do more than I want to do what they want me to do, and that's like I love that. I think that's really sexy. Like when people are like, I want to do what I want to do more than I want to listen to other people and do what's socially acceptable. I think that's really attractive. So that I think is kind of the thing with both, the thing that ties both of them together.
Yeah, I think there's a point there, but I have trouble like figuring out what makes people hot. But I did notice, like the hornier I am, the bigger girls look sexier. If I'm not horny, then it that goes away.
Oh, interesting.
And I never made that connection until like 2 years ago. And I'm like, wow, if I'm really horny, the giant chubby girls are the ones that are really sexy. But when I'm not horny, it's just the normal skinny girls, and it's not even that intense. It's like, yeah, she's beautiful, she's hot, but it's not like a burning passion. And I don't know anything else besides that. I just noticed it. Maybe other people can relate. I don't know. I'm gonna ask them.
At least an hour and a half. What? But so I wanted to ask. So it's like the burning question for me that I wanted to ask you. So because you're talking about the breast expansion thing and the sexy parts getting bigger, so some people are really like belly centric, where it's like they want to see a woman with like a big belly and that their boobs aren't stick out as much as their belly. They don't necessarily have to have like a big butt. But I feel like you're kind of more like curvy but like inflated. Am I right in that?
Ass. Ass is my favorite. Is the key to happiness and fulfillment.
You heard it here first.
Like
that's
if you
funny.
like, you can sort of tell like when I'm describing something, like when I'm writing, like someone that's gaining weight, and like,
usually that's
like
one of the
it's really bottom heavy centric. Sometimes I will try to spice things up, and like I'm like, okay, so I've done that too much. I need to make an apple shaped person. I need to make someone that's like got massive boobs, because people like that sometimes.
Okay.
But ass is my favorite, and all of them I like. But like that's like my favorite thing.
That makes sense. It's always interesting. It's like everyone has like a different take. Like even. Like, cause but we just get so mad when people be like, I would tell them I like fat guys. Like, do you like him? Do you like him? They're like pointing to like the ugliest, like old fat guys with these like weird distended bellies, and I'm like, no, that's not what I like. I'm saying like I like hot, chubby to fat guys. That's what I'm telling you. Not that I like, like every kind of fat guy that you're gonna see. That doesn't make sense. But like people will think that, which I think is interesting though, because people definitely have within the genre of being into fat stuff or weight gain, like a specific place you want to see the weight gain, or a specific place you want to see more, just them heavier. So I always think it's interesting to like hear from different people like what they like.
Mm-hmm.
So let's we have to. I have to go to the tiki bar and take my stupid alcohol test that hopefully I pass. Like, comment, subscribe. Jewel of Dance. Like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe. I was trying to.
Do you know that like for every like 2 feeders there's a feedie, like the ratio?
That makes sense. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
It's funny how that works. Anyway,
that's a lot of people are unhappy. Then that's not good.
Yeah. So like, comment, and subscribe. I've never said that out loud before.
Like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe. I make him dance.
I'll finish the books. I promise. I'm working on it. I'm just
say where your stuff is and what your name is on the places if you want people to
you can't
check
really
out your
pronounce
stuff.
my profile on Curbage, but on DeviantArt
We
it's
could probably link it.
Shivacade is my profile name on DeviantArt. Spell it? Oh, that's like
I can't understand what you're saying.
I don't even know what my profile is spelled like on Curbage.
Shivacade?
It's like it's got a Doge picture on it. Everyone knows me.
The DeviantArt one though, it's Sugar cane?
No, not Sugar cane. Shivacade.
Shivacade. Oh, this is probably an anime thing, isn't it?
No, I made it up when I was younger.
Oh, you just made it up. So spell it for them so that they can, if they want to.
It's like SHIVAAKAID.
Yes. So check it out. And thank you so much for watching. You can always put on
the description too.
Yeah, I will. I know, but I just like sometimes people don't even look at the description. I don't think so.
Oh yeah.
Bye. Thank you so much.